Hey gang, Mark Sweeney here from Austin Dental Spa in beautiful, warm, and sometimes rainy Austin, Texas. If you've been keeping up with the national news, we had some flash flooding all around us last weekend. Lost a lot of people, very devastating stuff. So send your prayers to the people in Kerrville, Comfort, Georgetown, Cedar Park, all around us, but downtown Austin has done just fine. But thanks for your prayers around the country. We're going to talk about heat today, which is a perfect month of July. As you know, if you tuned in last week, we have a theme every month. This is Wisdom Wednesday, by the way, if you happen to have happened on this and you're wondering what the heck you're looking at. We've been doing this for over 7 years now, every Wednesday about this time on Facebook Live, and we try to come up with a scientific study that will add value to your life and maybe cheer you up sometimes. But today is going to be one that I think it's a scientific study that you'll really enjoy, because our theme this month of July is things are heating up in July. And so this fits right in, perfect segue. I also like that this study came from the United States. It specifically came from Southern California's Leonard Davis School of Gerontology. So I didn't even know there was such a thing, but apparently USC has a school of gerontology, probably associated with their medical school. And the study was about whether exposure through your lifespan, particularly in older individuals, if exposure to heat on a prolonged basis or an intense basis can biologically age you. You know, there's two things. There's biological age and there's chronological age. Now, what's the difference? Chronological age is determined by your birth date. You look at your driver's license, you say, okay, I'm this many years old. Biologic age is determined by chemical markers, by molecular, cellular, and system levels in your system. So how the heck do they measure that? Well, we'll get to that when we get into the study. But they were trying to figure out if when you get to a point where chronological age is lower than biological age, in other words, your exposure to things over time, biologically, your body thinks it's way older than your chronologic age, then you're going to age less well, and you're going to be more prone to diseases and death. So that's why they were studying this, and I thought it was very interesting the way they did it. I like studies that have more than a couple of dozen people in it. This one had 3,000 study participants, all over the age of 56. So they were looking for senior citizens, for people older than the age of 56 who are on the higher end of the demographics in the United States. These were U.S. studies, and they studied it over a 6-year period from 2010 to 2016. So I like studies like this. They didn't specify male or female, but they did sort out for people that had heart disease or had cancer already. They sorted out so that they got a fairly good representative sampling of people over the age of 56, and 3,000 of them. So you can get some good data from this. So they knew their biologic age. So to check the epigenetic changes or the biologic age, they did a process called DNA methylation. So they took DNA samples and they manipulated it to a point where they could determine biologic ages across the board for these people. And then they did a second thing. They looked at where these people live. So if you live in Phoenix, Arizona, you're going to get more than 50% of the days are going to be over 90 degrees. So that's what they look for is environments where people were exposed to extreme heat for prolonged periods. They were saying for over half the year. So they targeted Phoenix, Arizona. And then they looked up north at places where fewer than 10 heat days, where fewer than 10 days per year were over 90 degrees. And they studied these two sections of people. And they found that the people that lived in the hotter climates had a significant correlation between their biologic age being higher than their chronologic age than the people who were in the cooler climates. So now I understand all the patients of mine that go to Maine or go to Colorado for the summertime when it starts getting up above 90 degrees here. I mean, of course, yeah, it just feels better anecdotally, but there might actually be something to it keeping them feeling younger, because they did find that and why did they study older people? Because I didn't know this till I read this study. Older people sweat differently than younger people. Who knew? I never knew that. So that's why they studied older people, because they figured younger people are going to be a little more resilient to any of this stuff. So there was a significant change. So next time you're over 56 years old and you're thinking about going out and laying by the pool, make sure that you spend some time in a cooler environment. Don't get overheated if it's over 90 degrees, which it is pretty much every day until September here in Texas. So my health tip I give every week. Last week, we talked about how to eat yourself cool. You'll have to go back and look at our archives on YouTube or Facebook for last week's health tip. This week, we're going to talk about how to eat yourself cool, how to eat yourself to better hydration. And this is pretty simple. Most people with a lot of common sense would have figured this out. But we've got 3 different food groups that you can use to eat yourself to better hydration. Melons, obviously, we just passed 4th of July. Watermelons are always a big hit. Back there in our lunchroom, in our refrigerator, almost every week, one of my 13 team members is bringing a big Tupperware container full of chunks of watermelon. And so great this time of year. And they're in season. So watermelons are probably 98% water, and so it's great to have some juicy watermelon. H-E-B, our favorite grocery store here in Texas, has summer select special melons so that you can get stuff like Sugar Rush and Lemon Pop. I haven't checked those out in the produce section, but try those out if a juicy melon sounds good. Citrus fruits like lemons, oranges, grapefruits, all are pretty much completely water as well, with a little bit of taste to them. So great to have an orange every day at lunch. One of my team members peels an orange right there in front of me and offers me a slice. So those are great citrus fruits. And then finally, the easy one that we all know, salads. Lettuce is pretty much 90% water, which is the base of most salads. Now they have these rice bowls that wouldn't do the same thing. But then on top of the lettuce, if you get other fruits, like I just had a salad yesterday that had cucumbers all over the top of it too. They're not quite as water-filled as watermelons, but they do the trick. And a cold cucumber sliced right now when it's 95 degrees outside is pretty tasty. So that's a way to eat yourself hydrated. And we all know that hydration is a key to keeping from suffering heat stroke or heat exposure. So that's our health tips for the week. I will see you next week for another episode of Wisdom Wednesday.